What's up, everybody? Here we are again at Ultimate Studios Inc., live from North Hollywood. Today I'll be doing some tapping. So tapping is always fun. So let me see if we are going here. Yeah, we are going. Beautiful. Yes. All right. Cool. All right. Tapping, very famous, right? Eddie Van Halen made it a thing for every guitar player. He wasn't the first guy to do it. I mean, there's some old footage of some even in black and white you can find on YouTube, guys just doing some crazy two-hand tapping, you know, with chords and all that stuff. So Eddie just did it with the distortion and, you know, just a slamming tone. So what is tapping? It's basically you have another finger creating a note. So you can hammer it, you can hammer and slide, you know, you can hammer and pull off. And then the beauty about all that is you can create speeds, you know, phrases and sequences that are pretty much impossible with just the left hand. You can create the widest intervals. It's crazy. For example, the most typical thing to do is you tap an octave above just to get a fake octave pedal, right? I can do stuff like this. I can go, right? And it's basically all I'm doing. I'm just grabbing the pentatonic and I'm just, you know, I'm doing a triplet in that sense. You know, if I just do a pull off like eighth notes, that's more of a strict fake octave pedal, right? I'm just pulling off. You just have to time that. You know, there's some cool melodies you can do. What's it? Right? So there you go. That's good old Mozart. And you're just faking octaves, right? You just have to time it correctly. That's the challenge about it. And the one thing you also want to be aware of is notice that how I'm holding the fingerboard, the neck of the guitar, because if I do it like this, I might be hitting, you know, some strength that I don't want, and then, you know, once you do that, it's too late. It's also a good idea to have your left hand thumb wrapped around the low strings when you do this. See, if I would do it like this, I'm at the mercy of not being able to mute. So I'll probably keep my thumb over the low strings just in case. Now, if you just want to practice, you know, get it started, the easiest thing to do is just go, just to get the syncing going, right? I'm just doing an octave up. And then let's say you just do a scale like, right? That's just to get started. Then once you're comfortable with that, you can go more into the actual, let's say, sequencing of tapping. And the most obvious example is when you do arpeggios. For example, if you go, and that's classic, right? So all I'm doing is there's an A note, pulling off to a C sharp, and then hammering the E. that's ascending, right? I'm just going up with the arpeggio. I can also go down. When you go down, right, it's a little harder because you gotta pull off with the pinky, and that's more work. If you hammer, it's actually more relaxing because you're only hammering with the pinky, and the pull off is done with the right hand. Okay. Now, when you do arpeggios, you can also change the top note. You know, when you start changing the top note, you're doing more of a scalar approach, and a lot of times you create a mode that way. So I can do, for example, a major sound. Just have that A bass going, right? Now the giveaway was that G sharp here. Now if I want to do mixolydian, for example, I'll just drop it to a G, and suddenly I got mixolydian, so major with a flat 7. Let's hear that. Okay. So very simple. You can go through all the modes that way, and you know, make it major, mixo. You can even go Lydian if you want, and then maybe add a D sharp there, right? And there, for example, I'm alternating between the third finger and the pinky. Right? So the possibilities are huge. It's not just, you know, one string. What about traveling down to other strings? Well, there's many ways you can do that. Let me just show you a simple way. Let's do it in A minor, right? Everybody loves A minor. Right? Hey! Haha. What's up? Well, I mean, I'm just talking about tapping, right? So you probably know tapping. So yeah, I'll just continue. So I was just doing A minor and how to travel down the fingerboard. So A minor pentatonic. Now notice that if I just change one note in the middle of the pattern, suddenly I get more color. For example, if I hit the B, I'm implying, you know, that minor 9 sound, right? Very simple, just by changing one note in that whole. And I can even do it in the same string. So I can go. It's pretty wild, the things you can do. And then depending on what note I grab in between all these positions, I create more tension or just less. There's your flat 5, right? That's the blues right there. Now there's a cool pattern you can create if I just stick with 2 strings, I can go. Now the only thing I'm doing with the left, if you look at it, see, I'm not even grabbing that note. See, I'm doing on my left. What does it sound like if I add this note? Well, let's try it. Now when you add the D note with the flat 5, it sounds pretty cool, right? You know, you can drive everybody crazy like that. Now that's just on 2 strings. So imagine the longer your sequence, you know, or let's say you start skipping strings, like, right? You create this wild intervallic sound. All right. Now, what about scales? I mean, right now I'm doing pentatonics. So if I do scales, obviously I have way more options. There is a very famous break in this famous, right, that famous Van Halen song, and what, for example, what he does, it's a symmetrical pattern, right? But the concept about it is pretty cool because the way he moves, right? So he's using a pretty much symmetrical pattern on your right hand, and then on the left, it's completely symmetrical, right? And then how does he connect to the next string? You hammer that. Right? So that's that lick. But what if you just say, no, I want to keep it in key though? Well, now you have to start changing your fingerings. You can do it there, you can do it. Now the cool thing about these guys, it's actually 5 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, that's 5. So notice that I'm using my left hand to generate the first note. If we do that with the backing track, right? Now, the only thing that you can hear a mile away is that when you do tapping, the notes thin out a little bit. So imagine if you try to pickle that, you can't do it, right? So it just gives you that freedom of grabbing any note that's in your way in a correct way, right? So that is using that pattern of 5 notes. What if you want to use something that is more, let's say, back and forth? So this is one example. Now, what I'm doing there is just I'm hitting every note that is in the scale in that sense. The only thing you have to watch out is you don't want to hit that before you get. Alright, so it's just back and forth. So if I wanted to pick all that, it would be. Now when you go back up, that's a challenge because I gotta generate the note with my index finger, and I'm not striking it, so I'm gonna hammer it. So it's a lot of notes, right? It's very fast. So after a while, it becomes a little repetitive. Now, how can you spice that up? Well, you grab a higher interval on the right note. And where you can create also variation is you do what we call a double on the tap. Okay, so it's just a double. If you do a pentatonic or as an arpeggio, okay, there's a lot of famous solos, right? Or backwards. Now, what other things can you do with tapping besides the typical arpeggios? You can, for example, bend and tap an upper note. That's more along the bluesy side, right? It's just. Now, when you always have to watch out that when you tap and you bend, you don't think about the note that you're tapping fret-wise. You have to subtract the whole step to get the actual note. So if I go here, see, it's an A, but I'm tapping on the G note position. So always make sure that when you do these taps that you're aware that when you bend a whole step, you gotta subtract a whole note from what you're tapping. And sometimes when you try to use your ear, it'll be too late. The other thing you can do is what we call the tapped harmonic. Those are also pretty famous. And you can create a full arpeggio this way because you're basically imitating what the open string would be. Let's see, you got some questions here? Yeah, man, go practice your tapping licks. So let me just quickly show you the tapped harmonics. So this is the natural harmonics, right? When you just grab from the string. From the open string, I should say. Now when I tap that, I gotta shift that whole distance. To get those tapped harmonics. And to get that sound, that tone out, you know, to get really that true harmonic, you gotta tap right on the fret. Don't tap in between the frets. Nothing's gonna happen there. Right on the tip of the fret. And don't pull off. Don't do that. This is like a very dry hit. That's another. So basically, you're playing with the harmonic going up and down in pitch because I'm bending. The harder it gets. Right? So those are, you know, all the cool things you can do with tapping. It's a huge technique. So some players really have developed it to some crazy licks, and they start using, you know, more than just one finger. You know, they start going into this whole. I cannot do that. You know, so yeah, some people are just very good at that stuff. So for me, with one finger is enough. I might have worked some licks out where I go, but I don't use them that often because gotta do it clean. All right, so that's it for today, right? Some good old tapping, and until next time. Well, if you don't know what to do, now later on we'll be tracking some guitars. So in just about half hour, we'll be doing some live guitar tracking. So stay tuned.